Hi everyone, welcome to the Schwowin's Nest. My name is Sandra and today I'm going to show you some really quick thrift store upcycles. This first project is quick and easy. This sign I got at a thrift store. I think it was about $1.99. The saying on it is really cute, but it's not for me. And rule of thumb for me is if I wouldn't hang it in my house, I wouldn't expect anyone else to hang it in their house either. So I'm just going to need to take some fine grit sandpaper and just sand off the lettering a little bit because it was printed on in such a way that it's leaving a little bit of a bump. I'm going to be painting this with Annie Sloan chalk paint in the color Original. I picked up this little test pot because I'd never used Annie Sloan chalk paint before and I wanted to give it a try. So I've decided to just use the paint to cover up the printing, and then I'm going to do some dry brushing around the edges just to blend it in. I like the burnt look of the wood itself, so I don't want to cover up too much of that. The stencil that I'm going to use today is this Farmhouse stencil from Hobby Lobby. It was $2.99 and it's the perfect size for this plaque. I like this font, I like the scroll underneath. I just don't like that real bottom curlicue, so I'm going to be using some painter's tape just to tape that off. The paint I'm using to stencil this on is Rust-Oleum charcoal, and I'm just using my regular brush and I'm just kind of using an up and down pouncing motion to put the stencil on. And again, the reveal is always the best part, so here you go. I really love how this one turned out. Project number 2 is with this black frame that I've had hanging around my house for a really long time. When I first got married, I had a lot of blacks and grays and purples. So it's a really nice frame. You can see it can stand up and it also has a hook at the back to be able to hang it on the wall. So what I'm going to do is remove the glass, and it has a bit of a space in it, so I'll be able to put some foam core board in there and put a pretty color in and make it look completely different. I'm using the same paint, Annie Sloan chalk paint in the color Original, previously Old White, and I'm going to give 2 coats to this frame on the inside, on the sides, and just make sure that I get everything with a pretty decent coverage. Since I don't want to paint the backing of the frame itself, I'm using a piece of white foam core board as my backing. And what I'm going to do is paint it with the Serenity Blue color of Rust-Oleum chalk paint. It's a really pretty color. It's sort of like a robin's egg blue, so I thought it would be perfect for spring. I used the leftover paint, dabbing some of it off, and then I used the dry brush technique that I have for on top of the frame just to give it a little bit more texture and dimension. This is another stencil that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. I thought it would be perfect for spring. I'm doing something a little bit different with this frame. I'm going to keep the glass in it. Normally I don't keep glass in my frames, but this time I'm actually going to stencil on top of the glass. So my stencil is put down backwards or on the reverse, and what I'm doing is stenciling onto one side of the glass of the frame. So when it's dry, what I'm going to be able to do is slide that glass into the frame and then put my backing on, but the paint will actually be on the inside of the glass. I'm not quite sure how it's going to turn out. My stencil brush is just this little foam brush that I'm very gently pouncing with. I don't know what it's going to look like, if it's going to be clean, if it's going to have some fuzziness to it, but I just thought I would give this technique a try and see how it turns out. Sticking with a blue spring color theme, I'm using this Deco Art Chalky Finish paint that was a Michaels buy. And again, I just went and washed my little sponge brush, and now I'm just going to do the birds in this color. Okay, so now for the moment of truth to see whether the stencil is a good job or if there's a little bit of wonkiness to the letters. And yeah, there is a little bit of wonkiness to the letters, but you know what? It kind of looks a little cool. So I'm gonna just try it in the frame and see how it looks. To put it back together, I'm going to lay the glass in first and then put the foam core board in as a backing and then close up the frame. I'm seeing a trend towards round signs similar to this. So I'm going to create this out of a bamboo cutting board that I picked up at my local Dollarama store. And I'm just going to tape off and paint a few different colors of stripes. I'm starting off with a pretty wide band of white chalk paint, and then I'm going to use a couple different shades of gray, and I will also leave one stripe, just the plain wood color. For this sign, I'm going to be replicating the word welcome that you can see on my iPad, and I'm just going to start off by penciling it in first, and then I'll use my oil-based paint pens to fill them in. When I'm using my oil-based markers, I always start out with the fine tip because then that will just give me a firm outline of what I need to do. I can also then make the shapes of the thicker areas that I want to color in. Then the coloring in part, I'll use the large tip marker. I've also found that the fine tip marker looks more like a permanent marker rather than an oil-based pen. It doesn't really have any shine to it, but the thick marker has a really nice oil shine to it, so it actually looks like vinyl. Then I added a few bits of lavender. Make sure you go check out my Etsy shop. I'll have that welcome sign on there, plus a whole bunch of new spring items. Everything's under $15. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel, like, comment, and share. Don't forget to click that bell to get notified when I upload new content. Thanks for watching.